Kids are back in class all over Ohio, and this year's incoming freshman class has a new set of standards they'll have to meet to graduate in 4 years. Statehouse correspondent Andy Chow went back to school to learn about those new requirements and how they'll test the kids who will have to achieve them.
Good morning, everybody.
Amy Obhoff begins her day by explaining the high school schedule for her new class of freshmen, before moving on to her world history lesson.
Go ahead and take out the notes that we were working on yesterday.
She's been teaching for 13 years, using her passion for art to teach social studies.
Because a lot of times kids will come up and they say, well, I don't like history, I'm really bad at social studies. And I'm like, well, what do you like? And a lot of times it's like, well, I like music or I like sports. I'm like, that has a history too.
Over the last couple of years, teachers, administrators, students, and parents have been floating in limbo as state lawmakers kept debating and changing requirements for high school graduation. Something Obhoff said did not go unnoticed by students.
It's been a bit source of frustration because it seems like the mark is constantly moving.
The issue ramped up in 2016 when state data showed that about 65% of high school juniors were not meeting the requirements needed to graduate. The standards for that class relied heavily on accumulating a certain score on 7 different standardized tests. So lawmakers made another change by approving alternate pathways for a few years. But that change was only temporary.
I know I've talked to some parents that have multiple students in high school, and it's very confusing because this kid has these graduation requirements and this kid has these other ones, and it can be very daunting and very confusing for not only parents but also students. So I think we're all really kind of hoping for, okay, this is going to be it for a while.
Over the summer break, though, the state legislature passed a 2-year state budget that includes what they believe will be a permanent fix. Here's how the standards for the class of 2023 lay out. First, they have to pass their required high school courses, such as English, math, and social studies. Second, they must pass a standardized test in algebra and English. There are other options to prove competency if a student cannot pass those tests. Those options include work-based programs, enlisting in the military, or completing college coursework. And finally, the third step is that a student must earn 2 diploma seals. These are programs that demonstrate readiness in certain skills, such as science, technology, performing arts, or biliteracy. They can also earn seals in community service, workforce readiness, and military enlistment.
I think it's helpful. It lets me plan out my years a lot more better than I would have if I didn't know what I needed to get done.
Carter Russ is among the new freshmen in Ohio. He says he wants to take this year to figure out what he wants to do once he graduates. But for now, he's considering a possible career in music education, theater, or nursing. Russ says it's nice to know exactly what's expected of him to graduate.
I think stability in your own plans to graduate, I think it's very important, so that when it comes to your senior year, hopefully nothing has changed, then you can have everything you need to graduate, maybe even a few more things to get recognized by colleges.
Another proponent of the changes is Chad Aldis with the Fordham Institute, an education policy group. That pro-charter school group was part of the coalition that recommended this set of new graduation requirements to lawmakers. He's been an advocate for consistent high school graduation requirements, but wanted to make sure they also raised the bar.
A high school diploma is important, we all know that, but what a high school diploma prepares you to do is really the most important thing.
Obhoff says she's encouraged by the new long-term requirements.
There are lots of different options, and I think that that's a good thing for students because everyone, especially when we get to high school, they're thinking about that career path. And this kind of lets them explore that, I think, a little bit more.
The Ohio Department of Education has been working on spreading awareness about the new graduation requirements with a website that details the standards for freshmen, along with the existing standards for current sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Andy Chow, Statehouse News Bureau.